Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome to the fifth and final United States Grand Prix of the Misfits Racing League week. And of course, joining me as always, my name is Stryfium Unicorn. This is where it all began. Clubman Formula Racing Club Division United States Grand Prix action. We've been talking about it this week, but this is a lot of these drivers are where you and I really started to commentate for the first time.
Yeah, this is the birthplace of you and I, working together on this. So there's a lot of names that were there. ZZ9, Fraser, obviously Ben the Bear, all of these guys. So this should be a fun one. Obviously now under the MRL banner, but
yeah, I'm very excited for this one. The Sandbox, as you and I have called it all season long, round 19 United States GP action. I am thrilled for this race. 20 turns. We've had 4 races around here. Very thrilling races around here. And it's Austin, Texas, of course. Now, it's a very unique circuit. It's got a lot of, iconic sections, I guess, from, various iconic circuits around the world. That's, that unique Sector 1, then you have that Sector 2, then Sector 3. We're going to go through it on the qualifying laps, of course, and give you a real good look at it. Let's take a look at the calendar. Looking at things right now, round 19, we are going to be finished racing action around Misfits Racing League on the 18th of December. We have Mexico next week, following that Brazil, and then Abu Dhabi. After today, it's 3 weeks left. It's 3 weeks left, and who could believe it? It's been a very long and exciting season. I have to say, I haven't been bored of it at all. It's been a ton of intensity. We've had some amazing races, and Club has been there for a good chunk of them. Taking a look at who's lining up for Club today, we have ZZ9 and Fraser. Alex Bideau with Distinctive, Ben the Baron, Remco Van Putten. We have Mito and Burke, Seb and Zamis, Freeware and Finn, as well as Burke Khan and Jones. Now, Shenjay and Money over at Alfa Romeo. Tillman Sever, Jinikari over at Haas with Domi and Mammal for Williams. Now, the reason I'm kind of flying through the teams, I normally, I'll talk about the teams and things like that, but look at these standings. We have to look at the standings today. We need to take a little bit of extra time on these standings because right now there is a three-way fight for championship right now here in the Club Division. DZ9 is leading that by 8 points right now for Mercedes. Alex Bideau and him have been doing the dance all season long. Most recently, Shenjay got into the mixture. You can see him there, 242 points right on the rear of the Spaniard. Ben the Bear, he was slated to have a very good season. Unfortunately, some attendance issues, some technical issues have flagged his season, but he can still, of course, get himself into that top 3 spot. Freeware right behind him. Now, as we go down, you have Fraser, the teammate of ZZ9, fighting off Van Putten. Van Putten, I'm sure, wants to get himself closer to where Ben is on the standings. There's a ton of fights happening inside of that top 10. It's been a very dynamic grid this season. Quite a few changes as far as the back 10 are concerned, but this top 10, the meat of this grid, have been absolutely fantastic all season long. Mercedes, Red Bull, Alfa Romeo, your top 3. Those are your top 3 constructors here for this one. Now, looking at the stewarding report following Japan, of course, MRL has a lot of great stewards that review these races after the action finishes. So if you see someone get away with something, chances are they're probably not getting away with it. Such is the case for Rutanius, Domi, and Jinikari. They've all received penalty points. Rutanius in a reserve capacity, not wanting to be taking 7 penalty points, but you can see it there. He has. Domi has taken 2 penalty points as well. Of course, Domi now the reigning Tier 2 champion. This is kind of where he comes to train, if you will. If I'm not mistaken, he's on the wheel today, as well as Mammal. Jinikari there, 2 penalty points as well. Now, there's quite a few drivers on this grid, 16 down through 20th on the standings, scoreless. We'll see if they can get some points in. This is the 4th last race of the season. It goes the US, Mexico, Brazil, and the final round in Abu Dhabi, and I'm pumped. I'm very pumped for the rest of the racing ahead for the entirety of the league, let alone just Club Division. But with all of this being said, I do believe we are just about ready to go racing here. Still got about a minute and a half, but not entirely sure if we're going to be getting any more racers into the equation for this one.
Yeah, just waiting to see what we're doing with it and to see if we can get that full grid or as close to it as we possibly can.
Jake in the chat giving us a prediction that I think normally I would be the first one to broach, but we haven't had any rain yet this week. And it started with Club Division in the rain. How iconic and how significant would that be for you and I had we seen, some wet weather around here?
Well, we've got Ben on the grid, and anyone who watched that Club Division race will know that Ben did not have the best of race. He was so dominant through the qualifying and the opening stages, but then the rain subsided. But just before it did, his intermediate tires that he started the race on started to die off, and then
he wanted to get off, and he wanted to get he went on to fresh inters, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Jeff told him to, and it cost him the race. So if we saw some rain here, that would be almost poetic in how lovely that would be, especially if it started. So yeah, there we are, and we are ready. The countdown clock has started. The last couple of drivers has joined.
Fantastic. Like we are going to have a 18 driver grid here for the Club Division. You love to see these packed grids. Absolutely love to see it.
Yeah, the having a full grid always just makes everything a little bit. Well, I know that we don't have quite a full grid here this evening, but it's pretty close to being. So I think there's 18 drivers here this evening.
18 drivers. You don't really notice. We'll have to see how these drivers go. We've seen the United States GP present a lot of different challenges this week for these racers, most definitely in the penalty region. A lot of corner cutting, a lot of exceeding of the track limits here around COTA. And with that being said, come the end of the race, that can really impact you. We had a very, very late safety car, I should say, in the case of the European split that you and I commentated on Tuesday. Yesterday, in Tier 2, again, we had another fairly late safety car in lap 21. Now we're here. Looks like it's going to be dry in Austin, Texas today for the qualifying at the very least. We'll get a weather report soon enough, but why don't you take us through the 18 drivers racing with us for this one here, Unicorn?
Yeah, well, we've got Remco Van Putten there at the top of our timing towers, Burke Khan, BTFU, obviously Ben the Bear in the other Red Bull, Zamus is here, S King in one of two McLarens, then we have Ginicari, Domi, Fraser, the founder of what was Club and Formula Division, now as part of Club. Then we've got Wisp there in 10th, Freeware, ZZ9, Fraser's teammate. I'm sure we're going to be seeing them give each other a little bit of tow down that long DRS straight in Sector 2. Mert Koptget in the other McLaren, Shenjay in 14th in the Alfa Romeo, Neon in 15th, Seb in 16th, Mammal in 17th, and of course the Spaniard of Alex Biddo rounds out the 18 drivers that we have here this evening.
Remco Van Putten, the first out of the pit lane here. He's in that charging Red Bull, and I imagine he'll be wanting to get on that podium. He wants to really close that gap to Ben the Bear in the standings right now. And, well, I don't think I've seen Remco. How many times? Usually we've always got our favorites to get out of that pit lane early here. It just so happened that I was latched onto that top car on the timing tower, and he entered the pits first. And very, very eager. 18 minutes. It's a long lap around here in the Circuit of the Americas.
Yeah, I just really love watching these guys go around this track. It's such an interesting one. I don't think there's not many tracks that I just think the overtaking opportunities in this final sector that we're on board with Remco now, the switchbacks that you see through this section of track, they're wonderful to just watch. And the side-by-side battling, you come out of turn 12, that very tight left-hander at the end of the DRS straight. They come into it at such huge speed, brake really hard. And then from there, you can have 4 or 5 corners where they're just side by side, trying to cut back, trying to get in front. And it can be such a long overtaking move as Remco starts his first flying lap. And a turn 1, coming into these first sort of, it's not quite the S's of Suzuka, but it is a very fast flying set of corners, and it's very easy to invalidate through here. And then quickly into the second sector, coming up to turns 8, and then into the left-hander of 9. Again, we see a lot of people run wide through here, and that area of grass hasn't been too absent from people driving onto it. And then turn 11 onto this huge DRS straight where we saw Henderson Crampy doing a bit of teamwork, giving each other's toe down this straight.
I was gonna say, I think we're gonna see a little bit of those tactics out of the Mercedes squad today. However, ZZ9 appears to have had an issue. I've session just a moment ago. We'll have to see if we can't get back him into his car. Fraser's currently out, and maybe this has impacted the fact that they'd want to get that tow.
Yeah, it's the opening of the session, so you'd expect that, you know, just want some banker lamps to put a time on that board, and ZZ9 back into the session. We'll have to see it, and here we go. Remco is going to open up the time with a 1:30.6, so that is not a slow time at all from the Red Bull.
Fraser now was behind him, and he has opted to come into the pit lane. Ben the Bear on the medium compound tires, as we know he likes to jump onto first. He is extremely tight to the rear of his teammate already in Remco Van Putten. You can see BTFU also opting for those medium compound tires in the AlphaTauri, the sister car. He's crossed fourth quickest as it's Domi now. A 1:30.111. Neon says hello. He's here in a reserve capacity over at Racing Point. You love to see it coming across quick in Stroll's car. 129.780 out of him. And that's a very nice debut lap time out of Neon here in Club. Wisp, a 132.272 from him. Damas, a 130.534. The founder of course, the Misfits, is jumping into the equation. He's in that Renault he drove on Thanksgiving yesterday for the folks over in the United States, and he is one of them. So he drove during Thanksgiving. He had a very up and down race. He's looking to come back strong here today in Club.
Yeah, and we have had a weather report. It is a dry race apparently, so we won't be seeing the weather come into impact this evening's race, but nevertheless, I'm sure it will be interesting, as have all the dry races been. Freeway invalidated his attempt at a flyer, so I'll be a little bit disappointed. There's a lot of people yet to set lap times. Alex Biddo right now in the Ferrari is flying, just coming through that first sector.
Yeah, he's really picking up some pace through this first sector. Alex had a stellar drive here yesterday in Tier 1. He is the runner-up in the championship presently, second to ZZ9 by 8 points the spread, and he's going to want to get up into the top spots early. He knows that ZZ9 has Fraser and those toe tactics, which can be crucial down into this left-hander at the end of the straight.
Yeah, only one of the Mercedes out on track at the moment, so it would appear that as of right now they're not going to aim for it, but with or without a toe, Alex Biddo right now is absolutely flying through this track. According to the track map, 2 purple sectors, that can be a bit hit or miss, but he's definitely not going slow, that's for sure, as he comes through the penultimate turn. And the number 72 Ferrari, it's going to be a quick time. Is it going to be provisional pole? It's not. It's going to be second, a 129.9 for him.
A good banker out of him there, 129.9. Not too far off of Neon right now. Only a 1/10.5 separating the Spaniard and the Dutchman of Neon. We've got 2 Dutchmans on the grid today now. Is it Dutchman? Do we have 2 Dutchmen? Or is it 2 Dutchmans? I think it's 2 Dutchmen.
Yeah, I would imagine it's 2 Dutchmen. I would imagine. Never really been in a situation to say it before, but yeah, Remco, not the fastest of the 2 Dutchmen as of right now. I'm sure he's looking to try and rectify that, but Neon's already back out on an outlap, really looking to set some high bars here for the other drivers to try and beat. No one's beaten his time yet, but it looks like he wants to beat his personal best already.
King just invalidated a lap. Freeware and ZZ9 are both flying presently. Fraser is going quite slow ahead. I have a feeling he's going to let... Freeware has now aborted his lap. Cut through the S's, and now ZZ9, we're going to jump on with him. And this is going to be key. He's set a purple Sector 1. He's coming through out now, and you can see yellow flag sparking up through Sector 2, just heading into the hairpin. And why is that? That's because look at who's going nice and slow, getting nice and primed and ready to go here for a cheeky toe, and that's Fraser and the other Mercedes. And we called it quite early. Here we have it. Very clean toe coming out of these two. Fraser's going to snap off to that inside, most certainly. He's holding, and now there he goes.
Yeah, I don't know how much time they're going to gain from that, but they will gain time, that's for sure. So there's no reason why they wouldn't want to do it. And that's the kind of thing that we love to see for the pair of them, the teamwork. It's super nice to see them. They've been doing it all season long, and it'll be interesting to see if that follows through into next season, as Neon has just invalidated his next attempt at a lap.
ZZ9 to the line. Here we go. The Mercedes. There it is. P1 from ZZ9, the championship leader. A 129.515, near 3/10 ahead of Neon, and a near 4/5 ahead of Alex Bitto here. And Bitto's not going to be too thrilled about that. Fraser now has begun a flyer. Key thing to note, Fraser, after giving ZZ9 that toe, he dropped off a bit to give ZZ9 some breathing space. But he's just invalidated through the S's, which means that he is not going to have the opportunity to improve on the fact that he has not yet set a lap. Chenjay in the Alfa Romeo. He's coming through your favorite section now, Unicorn, and he is setting a purple Sector 2.
I've been on board with him for a little bit now, and it's been a pretty clean lap from him so far as he comes up towards this final corner. I'll be looking to set himself into at least the top 5 with this lap. I think he's going to put himself right there. It's the fastest we've seen so far, 129.4 for the Alfa Romeo, and that is a very, very nice time to topple ZZ9. And I don't think that Chenjay had to tow his teammate. Well, actually, he doesn't have a teammate here this evening, so an astonishing time from him there, and that's a high lap time for everyone to try and beat here. Fraser's invalidated his next lap. There's plenty of people flying right now, Domi being one of them. He's already 5th. I do believe he is back on the pad this evening, rather than the wheel that we saw him using yesterday in Tier 2, and it's an improvement, almost 2/10, just pops him ahead of Alex Bitto. Zamas as well, 130 flat. Looks very satisfying on the timing tower there. Moves himself up into 6th place.
Now, I want to say it's Burke, but Mert over in 17th position. I have no idea how to appropriately pronounce that, so I'm terribly sorry if I butcher that. But Mert coming down through, DRS wide open on the rear wing. In the McLaren, no time set out of him. King, his teammate, has just began a flyer behind him, crossing up into turn 1.
Yeah, Fraser's going again as well, so interested to see what he can do. But obviously ZZ9, in preparation for his final lap, has hopped into the pit, so Fraser won't be getting the toe that his teammate had. So it's going to be difficult for him to try and beat the 129.5 that he set, but Chenjay beat it without a toe, so it's entirely possible.
Well, I was on with Mert. He invalidated. I'm jumping on with Ben the Bear coming through Sector 1, and Ben is very fast around this circuit. Very fast around this circuit. And we saw him set his first time, which was a 130.489. For those that are just tuning in, that time was set on the medium compound tire. He's the only driver in the top 10 right now with a time with the mediums, and nobody else has actually set a time on mediums here. Not for their best time at this point. Fraser P7, 130.1 out of him.
Yeah, I don't think he'll be overly thrilled with that, but like you said, there's a very hard charging bull in the form of Ben the Bear, and he is getting set to really jump up. It's going to be top 3 for sure if he doesn't invalidate through these final couple of corners.
So quick through that penultimate turn. So quick through that penultimate turn. And here's the time. There it is. Pole position out of the Red Bull. A 129.129, a clear. Almost 3/10 ahead of Shenjie. And Ben the Bear coming in onto provisional pole now. Seb has invalidated in that Renault. He's just made his way into Sector 3.
Yeah, that is absolutely insane from him. 129.1. You got to question whether he can put himself in the 128s there with that kind of pace, and that's just the lap times. These drivers, they're not going to be happy that he set that time to put himself on pole. That is an absolutely blistering lap. Neon, right now, who was on provisional pole a few minutes ago, has been knocked all the way down to 5th with the 129.7. He's looking to improve upon that now, coming through the second sector. And as he crosses the line, we're going to see if he has indeed improved. And he has 200.
That's good. That's a big improvement.
Yeah,
if he's able to pick it more through Sector 3 here, he can land himself anywhere from, well, holding on to this position should he lose it, or jumping himself into P2 potentially.
Yeah, big slide out of the 15th turn though, so I don't think it's going to be huge improvement through the third sector, so I imagine this is going to put him about 3rd on the timing tower here, if all is said and done, but it is 2nd for him by a very slim margin.
Very nicely done from him. 8 milliseconds the gap between him and Shenjie at the moment, and Neon is about to get a serious taste of a very, very competitive racing grid here around a very quick circuit. It is a very quick and flowing circuit here. Remco Van Puten's going to be very, very frustrated. He's just stepped in it coming out of Sector 1 and invalidated his time. He's currently P10. He's not going to be improving at the moment. Of course, not entirely sure at the time if we have any desync. I think as a result of Fraser being the host, we may not. Burke Khan now just ahead of him in the racing point is going to be flying.
Yeah, this grid, the times aren't super tight as of right now in terms of strictly on the grid, but we're in this final 5 minutes. We're going to start seeing people pouring out on outlaps, and this is where things get very heated. And
massive cut.
Okay, yeah,
I don't think he was that far up on his time. He could be coming in to try and get back out for another run. The McLaren of Mert has invalidated once again, it would seem. Possibly through that intricate S's section. Zamis right behind him on a flyer in the Renault now. Looking to improve on that 130 dead. A 130.000 out of Zamis.
Yeah, part of me wants him to stay there because it just looks so nice on the timing tab, but at the same time, obviously, an improvement will be lovely for the Renault, and he is on for a very slight improvement. It depends how much time he can gain through his final sector, but even that small improvement, it might jump him into 7th if he can get ahead of Domi, and Domi doesn't improve. Neon is satisfied with what he's done. He is staying there in 2nd for the time being. He's retired the car. No improvement will be coming out of the racing point. Zamas then, he improves into 7th place. Just over 1/10 improved, but Domi's on a flyer, and ZZ9 getting a tow from his teammate once again down that back straight. He's just behind Domi, and I'm wondering whether did Domi get a tow off of Mammal, because Mammal isn't too far behind Domi here and is on an invalidated flyer, so it's possible, but I didn't catch it.
Domi is going to improve here. How much of an improvement will it be, though?
It's a fairly sizable one. ZZ9 up into 2nd. with a similar improvement. Shenjay's just started. His flyer, S King's just started a flyer. Fraser as well. He'll be getting ready to try and improve. Seb jumps into the 9th with a 1:29.9. So the times now, look at them, they're all coming under this 1:30 barrier. Almost the entire top 10 has done so. It's also worth noting Ben the Bear is flying. It's coming out of turn 11.
If anybody should know the driver that joined the lobby by the name of Larzen, please tell him to leave the lobby. Should he wish to race in the MRL, he is more than welcome to do so, just not today, as this is a set race with set drivers, and should he not leave the lobby, we will be unfortunately required to restart this race. So
yeah, I do believe he's already left.
Oh, well, fantastic. He would have had to join off of somebody in the race, so thank you for telling him.
Here comes Ben around the final corner in the Red Bull. DRS over wide. It's not an improvement. It's hardly surprising. It's an astonishing time that he's set. Shenjay in the Alfa Romeo. Can he do anything? Can he get rid of Neon or ZZ9? He can get rid of one of them. It's a 1/10 improvement.
Alex right behind him. He jumps into P2. That's the Ferrari on the front row next to the Red Bull with the Mercedes right behind. And where have we seen this before? I'd have to say we've seen it for years. But here we have it. Ben the Bear, Alex Bido, ZZ9, your top 3. Shenjay's right there. And we have a serious fight between the top 4 championship leaders right now at the front of this grid.
Yeah, that's a very, very compelling looking race we've got shaping up there at the top. Like you said, the 4 drivers there, Ben, Bido, ZZ9 and Shenjay, and they're joined by Neon in the reserve capacity. Could he prove to be an interesting component in this race? And you got the likes of Freeware, King, Fraser, Domi not too far behind, and the Hasa Shinikari has just absolutely binned it on entry to the pit entry. It's not something we're unfamiliar with seeing.
Yeah, that is unfortunate indeed. Ben the Bear on pole position, the Thai driver, a 129.129 in the Red Bull. Alex Bido, the Spaniard, 129.280. That's a 151 difference off of him. And then we have ZZ9 there in third, a 129.292. It is ZZ9 currently leading the championship, holding off Alex Bido and Shenjay. Shenjay in fourth with Neon, the reserve over at Racing Point, making his debut in fifth. Love to see it. Of course, we are going to go down through the rest of this grid on the formation lap.
Yeah, and it's not only compelling just on this one race, spectacle of the USA Grand Prix, but also the championship. We've got to keep that in our minds here as we get to the closing stages of this season of MRL. These guys, they're not only battling for the win here this evening, but they want to win the championship as well. So this is a very, very exciting evening for these drivers. I don't think no one could just win it this evening. It's going to be right up until we get to Abu Dhabi, I think, that we get to decide a winner here in Club, and that's what you love to see. It's something that F1 fans have been yearning for years, and here we have exactly that. These guys are so close in the standings, and it's going to be so exciting to see them battle here.
It's a championship battle straight to the final round, and that's what I think everybody wants to see. We've had Tier 2 has been decided. I think we're at the point now where I think EU it's getting pretty close to being decided now. Tier 1 may also go the distance. I'm not entirely sure how big the spread is there, but one thing I can say is this one, as you said, is going to be going the distance. Now, we look at all of these racers here on the formation lap. We have the tire choices for those in the back 10. Let's take a look, though. It's Ben the Bear on pole. Alex Bido is going to be lining up on the front row next to him. ZZ9 and Shenjay right behind them. Then we have Neon and Freeware, King, Fraser, Domi, Zamis. Then we have Seb right there, the other Renault just outside the top 10. Remco Van Putten 12th, BTFU in 13th. He's here in a reserve capacity. Mammal, 14th position. Jinakari, 15th. Burke, 16th. Wispin, 17th with Mert. Bringing up the rear of the grid in 18th position. Talk us through these tires, Unicorn.
Yeah, it's this track. It's mostly just a one-stop soft to medium, but you can see there we've got 5 drivers: Remco Van Buiten, BTFU, Mammal, Jinakari, and then Wisp and 17, all in the medium. So what we're going to see come from them, obviously, with subject to change via safety cars or people having incidents, clipping a wall, losing an end plate, that kind of thing. But if everyone's race was to go perfectly, what we would see here is these soft runners, they're going to come in after about 10, 11 laps or so to get onto some fresh mediums to take them to the end, whereas these medium runners, they're fresh tyres, they're going to go all the way up, almost to lap 20, probably pitting in the 19th, 20th lap, and then they're going to pit onto the soft. So what we're going to see, they're going to be a little bit slow at the start, but come the end of this race, and penalties and safety cars in that late stage would give these guys a huge advantage if they keep themselves penalty free. But yeah, at the end of this race, those guys starting on the mediums now, they'll be on soft compound tyres if everything goes their way, and they'll be absolutely flying in comparison to those on aging mediums at that stage of the race.
All of these cars now approaching this grid. Mert now will be the last to join as he comes out of the penultimate turn, and we're about to go racing here for the 5th and final time around the Circuit of the Americas. It's Club Division, round 19 action. Thank you everyone for tuning in. My name is Stryfium from Canada. We've got Unicorn over from the UK, and we're coming together to commentate a United States race. So hit that follow button if you're new. Share the stream, because this is going to be a very, very intense grudge match. Unicorn, it's time. Take us away.
There we go. The drivers revving up. The lights have gone out, and away we go here for the final USA race of the week. We've got ZZ9 getting a nice start, but also Freeware and the AlphaTauri up the inside. He's flying as well. Neon kind of in the middle of all of this. It's Freeware on the inside. We've got 3 wide. Freeware not getting the exit he wants, though. He's clattered into Shenjay a little bit. There's contact there. There's an end plate flying off from further down. Ben leads Bitto, but then Neon up 2 places. Domi's up 4 as well. He's done very nicely to get himself into 5th. Then Shenjay's had an absolutely awful start. I think that has something to do with the fact with the contact with Freeway. Shenjay's damage free. Just trying to find out who that end plate did come flying off of.
Might have been Fraser here. I'm looking on with the Mercedes right now, and just to take a look. He's missing his front right end plate. He's right behind the 2 Renaults. He's squeezing. Well, he's really tight. He's locked in with Zamis. Seb's being overtaken now by his teammate. Fraser's looking at him. He's on the rears. They're wheel to wheel now, coming at the end of the straight. Shenjay and Freeware just up ahead are exchanging. He's made it ahead. Fraser has made it on Seb as well. And this is a very, very intense race start. Things at the front are very, very tight. Ben the Bear and Alex holding position. Neon's made up 2 slots. Remco and Fraser now. Wheel to wheel. Fraser doing some work. Working around the Dutchman now. Seb looking at him now around the outside. This is going to be the inside into the next left-hander. The penultimate turn. Does Seb get this move done? Remco comes off wide here. Fraser jumping in for an early pit stop. Freeware has done the same. This is now Alex Bitto. We've had a little bit of a timing tower desync here. Ben the Bear is still in lead of this race. He is being hunted by Alex Bitto. ZZ9 is behind Neon. Neon in a fantastic starting running position. He's into 3rd.
Yeah, he's done really well over that start. So is Domi up in 3rd right now. 6th place is gained for him. And, well, the timing tower, again, having a little bit of a moment. But this race start has been very, very interesting to watch. And this race is going to continue to develop. But Ben and Alex running away at the top there. And they've got a little bit of a gap to everyone else, it would seem. Fraser not going to be happy with how this has started for him. He's all the way down Freeware as well, but Ben and Alex up at the top as the timing tower sorts to sort itself out.
ZZ9 hunting down Neon quite tight. They have Domi parking up their gearboxes as well in the Williams, and Shenjay is homing his way into things. He's that little heat seeker missile coming through, who wants to get himself into that top 3. Taking a look at the position changes, you can see Shenjay not having an ideal race start. He started this race in 4th. He's dropped into 6th. Domi has made up 4 positions and is on a charge. Neon doing well. ZZ9 wants that 3rd position back, however.
Yeah, and I think that for Shenjay here, he's had that poor start, and he needs to just make sure that doesn't get to his head. He's still in a good position. 6th right now is still, it's a possible race win for him from this place. He just needs to wait, but he needs to get through this traffic. He needs to get back up and start catching Alex and Ben, who are already 1.7 seconds ahead of Neon. And ZZ9 as well is in that pack in 4th place, so Shenjay at least wants to be battling him. So he's going to want to get past Domi as quickly as he can, and we can see him right on the Williams here, and they're going to approach the DRS zone, the first time that they're going to have it here this evening. But Domi's going to have it on ZZ9. Is ZZ9 going to be able to capitalize? Neon doesn't have it because of Alex and Ben. He's got away, and ZZ9 absolutely flying past the racing point. Shenjay's not going to have such an easy overtake. He's laying on the brakes of the Domi. They're side by side into turn 12, and it is the Alfa Romeo ahead, but Domi late on the brakes into 13. Lockups from the pair of them, and Domi valiantly defending 5th place. This is very, very intense stuff. Remco Van Putten and Mert as well. They're exchanging positions. Remco Van Putten's had a huge slide out of his car. Manages to catch it, but that almost ended pretty poorly for him.
That was tight for Remco. He was very good to catch it. He's been quite good at catching snaps and things like this all season long. We've seen him do a couple of very clean pirouettes, things like this. Things that we've seen Max Verstappen do in reality in the cockpit of a Red Bull. So I suppose it fits. Domi right now, he has a look to the inside on Neon. Shenjay has the front row seat to this little battle. ZZ9 has dispatched Neon back for that 3rd place, and he wants to hold on to it, potentially pull away, maybe catch up with Alex Bitto. Ben the Bear right now is starting to pull away from the Spaniard, however. 1.3 seconds and climbing is that gap between the Red Bull and the Ferrari. ZZ9 is starting to take down that 2-second barrier, and he's going to have this entire train of cars coming behind with him should he not be able to pull out of the DRS range of the racing point in Neon.
Yeah, and DRS around here is so important. We're not seeing quite the train also, but we've got this, so the battle from 3rd down through 6th. These guys, they're going to be exchanging as a result of this. And you've also got Mert just ahead of Remco, so Remco's not got DRS as of right now, I don't think, but BTFE and Burke certainly do. Shenjay, he'll be looking, try and get past Domi. Domi defended last lap, hasn't had the same attack to defend from this lap through, but Shenjay keeping it tight to the right. He's going to be looking to try and feed his way through. Domi wide through the penultimate turn, and it's the kind of mistake Shenjay's going to be looking for, getting ready to pounce. Hasn't really cost Domi much time, but penalties as well. We've already got 2 on the grid. Burke Khan and Jinikari have got that black and white flag next to their name, indicating they've picked up a penalty, and by the end of this race, I imagine quite a few of these drivers will have it as well.
Domi is just hunting down Neon right now. I think he's just waiting for an opportunity to strike. He's trying to measure up this racing point right now. He's trying to figure out, where can I attack here? Where is this driver weak? Domi, a calculated racer. Shenjay, also a calculated racer. He's going to be waiting to strike right now. Something else that we haven't even taken into consideration is the fact that this grid is still quite bunched up. We haven't had a VSC. We haven't had a safety car. It's a long race. We're only on lap 5. And with that being said, we haven't seen any pit stops come out of these, well, the majority of this grid for it to really throw a monkey wrench into things. Now, look at this. Look at the speed coming out of overtake. Neon with a move off to the inside. Here goes Domi down the outside. Does he get the move? Does he have the traction? They're wheel to wheel, and this is beautiful racing between these two. Domi now on the inside. Neon holding on. Domi with great traction and speed right now. He's going to have the outside into the next left-hander, and you were talking about it all week, Unicorn. It is absolutely fantastic to watch the racing through here now. There's still wheel to wheel through the long right-hander. Domi now on the outside, still has that racing point holding off. He comes off a little bit wide there. Shenjay has the front row seat on this, and he's really looking for an opportunity. Domi now has a great exit. He's still sticking well with Neon. Shenjay now making that snap to the far inside. He moves around Domi, has a big lunge up into turn 1. Does he get Neon here as well? He squeezes him off. Does he have the traction? Neon with a great setup in that racing point right now. He gets, well, he holds off Domi, but in doing that, these two drivers have allowed Shenjay to get through, and as I say it, Domi has now been the first of these three to take a 3-second time penalty.
Yeah, Domi's big downfall there was that Neon sort of played him a little bit. I don't know whether it was intentional or not, but Neon, he was ahead coming out of the final turn, but the DRS detection zone is just before turn 19. That's the penultimate one. So Neon had DRS. Domi was behind him, so Neon was sort of tearing away from him despite Domi's good exit. And then Shenjay had DRS and Domi as Neon now looking around the outside of Shenjay. Absolutely breezy by, but Shenjay a little later on the brakes up the inside into turn 12. Neon holding around the outside, doing an excellent job battling with these two veterans of the league, and it's very exciting to see this stuff coming out of reserve. We thought he might pose a little bit of a threat for these guys who are battling for this championship, and he is doing just that. He's in 4th at the moment, ahead of Shenjay, Domi as well, and this is sort of giving ZZ9 a bit of breathing room, but he's dropped off the back of Alex Bedo, and he's dropped off the back of Ben the Bear, and Ben right now looking very, very comfortable at the front at the moment, but we all know how the first race that we ever commentated around here went, Striff, and Ben needs to be a little bit more careful, but we do have a drive fair, the strategy a little bit more laid out for him.
I dare to say Ben's going to have a little bit of a more difficult time this time around for the United States GP compared to the last time we saw him fly around here. He was a cut above in that race. He's still a cut above in this race, 2.7 seconds ahead of Alex, but here's the thing. There's going to be a big opportunity for undercuts. There's a ton of pace on this grid right now. There's going to be a serious strategy play for a lot of these drivers. There's Shenjay with a bit of a snap out from the rear of his car coming out of Sector 1, and this is going to lose him time to Neon. Fortunately, he is still within that DRS range. Neon, without that DRS on the driver ahead, these two can continue to dance all day. The problem is they need to be very vigilant about the Williams on the rear of them in 6th. Shenjay also wants to get into that 4th position because 1 through 3 are the top 3 in the championship right now. And you have, you have Ben the Bear who's 4th. Shenjay is realistically in 3rd right now. He wants to be fighting for those major points. He wants to get himself into that fight for the win. Because as we said, this championship is going to be going down to the finale. Right now, Wisp, Mammal fighting.
Yeah, I think Shenjay's best sort of option here would be to just stay penalty free. At this point, he's so far behind in terms of just the gaps that he's got on the grid that staying penalty free as Zamas is coming to the pits. I don't know if he's had a problem. He was overtaken by his teammate, but I don't think he has got any damage on the Renault.
Wisp and Mammal coming together a little bit here. It's caused Mammal to go very far out wide now. Wisp is going to come back through on the Williams and take 13th position. Very interesting there. Zamas coming out on fresh mediums.
We said there was an opportunity for the undercut here, but that is a huge undercut.
That's a big undercut, yeah. Mammal ever so close to the rear wing of Wisp. We actually had the front wing cam and saw how tight it was coming out of turn 1 between these two. Mammal not going to be too thrilled about how Wisp got the position, I imagine, so he will be hunting down that Haas to get things back very, very quick.
Yeah, and the battle between Neon and Shenjay is still going strong. Shenjay almost out of battery now. Neon with a little bit more, and Neon's just managed to hold on, but Shenjay on the outside. Can he carry the speed into turn 13? He's got the inside now. A little bit of contact between the two, but nothing major, and I think Shenjay's just about ahead, but Neon can get the inside through here. It is. Again, a little tap. Shenjay not losing the end plate, though. And
well, that was so clean from Neon. That was so clean from Neon because we saw Shenjay have a major inside lockup there. And Neon just said, thank you very much, I'll take that. And that was huge. And he's going to go for an undercut here. Neon has pulled the pin. He is going to be the first out of these front 5 to jump into the pit lane here. And this is a big move. We saw Zamas come through on the previous lap. Now Neon has said, okay, I'm going to pull the pin. We're going to see what happens here. Shenjay has now tapped Domi with Domi came through turn 1. I didn't even see that coming. He had a major lunge on the rear of Shenjay into turn 1, and Shenjay's just giving him a gentle love tap. We're going to try and see if there's any damage. There is no damage on the front end of that Alfa Romeo. Very fortunate in that. Shenjay didn't see him. We know what field of view he runs. Guaranteed Shenjay had no idea that he was there.
Yeah, and Neon's come out in P10, so he's got clear ahead, and he hasn't been caught up in the battle behind with Wisp Mamola and his teammate Burke. So he's going to be happy with where he's come out. And then he's got Beenerin, but ahead of him, he's going to have to fight for position against Remco and BTFU. They started this race on the medium compounded tyres. They're sitting in 8th and 9th, and they're going to be a pretty interesting factor right now. They're sitting in an interesting spot, and they're going to be on softs towards the end. And right now, they'll have to pace. You can see BTFU on the rear of Mert, and Mert probably doesn't have the pace that the cars behind have, because those soft tyres are very close to being the end of their life cycle. And
now, I've just noticed something. Neon is on the softs. And that is
an excellent point.
This will be the first time, I think, that I can say all week we have seen a dedicated two-stop without a safety car impacting it. I think this is the first time we're going to see this all week. So Neon is really trying something here. We saw the suggested tire strategy for the race director had implied a two-stop, but we've seen it all week. The one-stop soft medium or the one-stop soft hard is the ideal strategy for a lot of these racers. Now, we've had a retirement. Burke's come in. He's finished. That's in the pit lane. Domi has Wisp right on his rear as they exit out of the pit lane. Neon is in 8th position, very far ahead of these two. Shenjay has actually come out with Wisp in his way.
Yeah, I don't know how I didn't notice that Neon came out on the softs, but in my opinion, that's a huge mistake. There's no reason why you'd want to do that. Shenjay up the inside of Wisp going into turn 11, and he's worked out, and Mammal has a little bit of contact with Freeware in the same corner, and that's lost him not only to Freeman but Zanis as well. But Scars in the chat saying that Neon forgot to change tires. So
well,
that has to be the only explanation, because the strategy makes no sense otherwise. Because the thing here is, if we see another one of these late game safety cars, everyone comes in for softs.
Yeah,
he has to come on for the mediums.
Yeah, that's real tough right there for him. But if there's a safety car within the next 4 laps or so, then I think it could be a very good strategy for him should he be able to get himself into a solid race position on some softs, because all of the drivers ahead of him right now are starting to come in. Where is he going to land? Let's see. Bido, ZZ9, Seb, Mert, they've all come in. Neon is now into 4th position. Where is Alex? He's right behind him. Right behind him.
Yeah, Alex being in this traffic is not what he wants. It'll be interesting to see where Ben comes out. I don't know how long the pit lane is. He's currently got almost 20 seconds between himself and BTFU.
That's a huge
So,
gap.
I think if anyone's going to beat him, it's going to be BTFU, obviously. But I don't know whether he's going to come out behind Neon in that. So, we'll have to wait and see. It's going to be very interesting, but Ben might be safe here.
Neon with a ton of speed right now. Rear wing wide open. DRS. Remco Van Putten, his countryman, now under serious threat in that Red Bull. Neon gradually jumps in front into the braking zone and has 3rd position locked down for now.
Well, here comes Ben into the pit lane. And look at this pit window has really just put everyone
Minakari has
into this
retired in the
bundle.
pit lane. And the Baron out in the pits himself. Now, something we saw earlier this week was a retired car, after it leaves the session, come in the way of another driver. Oh, looks like it's not going to happen today, so that's fortunate. And Ben the Bear is going to come out. Where is he? Where are the cars behind? Here comes Neon. BTFU right on his rear. Ben the Bear has slotted himself out from first position onto the fresh medium compound tires, back into lead of this race, and that is crucial. Absolutely crucial.
Yeah, but Neon's on fresh softs, Striff.
He is on fresh softs, that's right, and he's got 2 laps on them right now. He's also got the temperature in these tires, and this could present a very good opportunity for him to jump into lead of this race coming out down the long straight.
It's also worth noting Alex Biddo, Ben's biggest rival so far this evening, has picked up a penalty. Imagining it's only 3 seconds, unless he picked it up for speeding in the pit lane. It is a 3-second time penalty. All of the penalties right now are 3 seconds. No one has picked up any more than that, but
Neon,
3 seconds is still 3 seconds.
Not quite enough of an exit out of the hairpin to really get himself within a striking range of Ben. Domi and Shenjay now are having an exchange. Shenjay now on the inside, getting 7th position from the Williams. Remco Van Putten are also having their own exchanges. ZZ9 has made his way ahead. Fraser and Mammal are having a battle as well, way further down the grid in 13th and 14th positions respectively, and then that's Fraser ahead in that exchange. If I'm not mistaken, Mammal is learning wheel at the moment. Speaking of wheel, I'm not entirely sure if Domi is using wheel or pad today, but he is going to be trying to keep with Shenjay as best he can. Let's take a look at the penalty situation. Not a single driver on this grid as BTFU makes his way ahead of... Well, Alex Biddo makes his way ahead of BTFU. Not a single driver on this grid with more than 3-second time penalties.
Yeah, it's nice to see that these guys are sort of keeping themselves relatively penalty-free, and we've seen the late safety car and the penalty situation just have a huge impact on the other races this week. And I think that's as part of the reason we always say at this race at the end of the week, most of these drivers have raced other grids at some point elsewhere in MRL, so they will have that practice. They will know where they themselves have been picking up the penalties. As Shenjay looking at the rear of Remco Van Putten, a little bit of wheel spin out of turn 11 DRS, and he's already side by side as he enables it. The Alfa Romeo breezing past. BTFU gets passed yet again by another one of the...
Domi on the inside of the Dutchman as well. Down into the turn, we have the rear view shot from Shenjay. Domi's already very tight to the rear of the Alfa still. Van Putten on these 12-lap old mediums is really pushing a long stint right now because he wants to see if he'll be able to get onto perhaps some fresh soft compound rubber. Very sneaky there from Domi. Smooth as well.
Yeah, you'd love to see moves like that, and that's the second move that we haven't really seen coming from him, but lovely stuff. And Striff, look at Ben's pace. He's not pulling out quite as quick, but Neon's on these fresh softs, and Ben is still chipping away at that lead. Obviously, Neon's got DRS as well, so Ben, who's got more ERS than Neon, so he's been using less, absolutely just incredible performance from him so far this evening. He needs to round it out though. We're halfway through and he's still going strong.
If we have a short view back to the past and we take a look at the qualification and the beginning 2 laps that were set in that session, it was Remco Van Putten in the Red Bull. He set that 130 on the soft compound tires. Immediately after, it was the Charging Bull of Ben the Bear on the medium compound tires, coming right behind his teammate by a tenth. With that being said, he has absolute extreme pace on these mediums, equal to that of the softs, given the fact that Neon is no slouch. He's a quick driver. BTFU and Shenjay now exchanging. BTFU on a very similar strategy.
Going to go again.
Yeah, he's going to get BTFU as well, and that's 2 for Domi inside of 2 laps and 2 for Shenjay inside of 2 laps. And the thing for these guys is they have these super fresh medium compound tires. They've got super pace, but they want to try and they want to catch up to ZZ9 right now, who's still within a second and a half of Biddo for P3. Biddo on these medium compound tires is, technically speaking, net P2. Neon needs to pit again. He's currently on his 2nd set of soft compound tires. Per the rules, he must use a 2nd type of tire compound. He must switch to those mediums or hards in this race, so he's really gambling here.
One thing about Alex Biddo though is ZZ9 after this pit stop has managed to close down, and Alex has that 3-second penalty. ZZ9, we've seen this before from him. He's super good at just keeping himself free of penalties, and that's exactly what he's done here. So, whilst Alex Billow is net P2 on track, ZZ9 is actually just running in that net P2 position on penalties. So it's a very, very interesting stage of the race. We've not got much, we've still got just under half of the race to go, and Neon is being dragged along a little bit by Ben the Bear. He's got these fresh tyres that enable him to keep up with just the rapid pace of the Red Bull, and DRS as well, keeping him there.
Zamis right now has his teammate Seb very tight to his rear on 3-lap fresher rubber. He's going to have DRS. He's burning that battery. Zamis and Seb with the DRS now. Seb looks like he's going to make a move to the inside. There it goes. How's it go? It's a big lunge. He really holds off here. A big cut down the inside. That's Seb into 10th position ahead of Zamis. Freeware tight to the rear of the Dutchman now is going to be looking at him. And this is your favorite section of circuit now. Remco really getting on these brakes. Freeware is through. Of course, Remco, much older compound rubber, has just let the two Renaults through. Freeware has some fairly old rubber tires as well, as they're 12 laps old now. He had to pit quite early due to damage, I believe.
Yeah, and one thing, I love watching Zamis race. He's just so patient. He's so aware of what's going on around him, and he just knows that there's no point of battling his teammate there. Zamis is on the older tyres. He's taking them longer. He's tried to go for the undercut here. It's not really worked out too well for him, but had a big wheel spin out of the first turn for him. But yeah, he'll just be waiting, and even though he lost the position to Seb, he gained it on Remco, so he's just waiting. He picks up these moves and positions as and when he can, and it's just super refreshing to watch this. Much more relaxed, much more composed driving style, rather than just trying to lunge at every possible moment, which does work out for a lot of these drivers. But Zamis, he's got this driving style and he has it nailed down, and it works out a lot of the time for him. And I think there's been an issue between Mertz in the wall, reversing back onto track, and Mammal, I think, and King, I think he's retired on track. I don't think that's actually a... Yeah, that car's still moving. Yeah, he's still moving. His car AI has been pulled off to the side. So he'll be...
Unfortunate. Very unfortunate there. Don't
know what happened. I think Mammal and King had an issue.
Seb just had a bit of a slide out from his car, and he's keeping up very well with Freeware here. Zamis just following him along. Neon has come in now. He's gotten off these softs once again. It'll be the second time he comes in to get a change off the softs. He's going to go into some mediums, and this could be good for him, depending on where he comes out. If there is any late shenanigans with a safety car, get himself some track position. Penalties could come into the equation. You never know. It's still a long race. We're only about a third of the way through here.
Oh, S King's going to the pit wall.
Oh dear. Okay.
Is that going to be a safety car? Doesn't. I imagine it would have been called out by now if it was.
Yeah, I think we're good. No safety car. So we're still good. No safety car just yet. For those that are looking for the strategy battle, we haven't had a VSC or a safety car in this race. It has just been a decided race down to pure pace so far, and potentially penalties in the end. But everybody has 3 seconds. Here goes Seb. Freeware. Very old mediums at this point in time.
Yeah, Seb doesn't have penalties either right now. He's in P6. That's pretty strong. Obviously, he's 8 seconds down on Domi right now. Both Shenjie and Domi, they've been battling it out for a while. Domi's dropped back a little bit off of Shenjie, who has now found himself back into 4th as Remco and Fraser exchange positions. Remco really struggling right now. We'll see him get off of these mediums in the next lap or two, I would imagine. Get onto some softs to the end of the race.
I want to say thank you to Achieved Ian for that host. Appreciate it. As well as all of you guys tuning in, following along, and who have followed the channel for all the racing action. Greatly appreciate it. We hope you are enjoying this race. Let us know if you are in the chat, of course. We love to see all the feedback. And yeah, thank you very much for hanging about.
Yeah, Freeway's just onto the pits, as has Remco. So those two, they're on the fresh tyres, the fresh softs now. BTFU, who pitted last lap, I do believe, Freeway's teammate. We've now got these fresh soft runners, but I think they're too far back to really do anything. But if we saw a safety car, and we have seen these late safety cars this week, be very interesting indeed to watch, as Neon on fresh mediums is right on the tail of Zamus, and he's going to have DRS hit.
Yeah, this is going to be a good move from him to the inside, easy as you like. Not a lot that Zamus can do about this, and it's as you said earlier, Zamus is a patient driver. Zamus is the type of racer that knows that, and he'd much rather just, you know, cruise along, see if any of these racers that come near him make mistakes. Oh, and Zamus with a big slide out. He's just made a mistake, Unicorn. No, as I've said it, he's gone into the wall. He's going to lose a position. Fraser now, he's reversing onto the circuit. He's looking for traffic. BTFU is now coming through. Zamus is going again. But this is so unfortunate for Zamus here. He was doing well, but that setup that he's got has been giving him a bit of oversteer in certain equations and areas on this circuit. And there goes Freeware through on him now on these fresh softs, and it's just, that was a commentator's curse if I've ever seen one. So I'm gonna just go ahead and say sorry about that. And yeah, ZZ9 within a second of Alex Bitto ahead for P2. And the Bear leading things 6.6 seconds ahead.
Yeah, Fraser hopped into the pits as well for the fresh softs, but yeah, Zamus is only saving grace here is that he is going to be able to get on some fresh softs for the end of this race. But yeah, super unfortunate there. It doesn't seem like he's been enjoying this track so much, because he, like you said, he's just been struggling over the last few laps with those tyres, and now that DRS has really reeled ZZ9 in. He's
Neon threatening Seb here, using that overtake and that rear wing wide open down into the left-hander, and he has dispatched the Renault for 6th, and he could be in a very good position here if he's got the pace to tear down the 8.7 seconds to Domi, bring himself within some DRS range to fly through. That would be crucial. He really needs somebody to come out in front of him to tow him along right now. And speaking of being towed along, Fraser with a huge run on Wisp. Wisp moves out to the inside. He wants that inside line through the turn. Fraser's going to be out in front of him. Massive cut out of Wisp there. Through on the inside. But it is going to be Fraser holding off the inside through the next turn. Now back to the inside for Wisp. Or is it? Fraser just clears the car into the turn. That's 10th for the Mercedes. And this fighting for Wisp is going to have Remco Van Booten not too far behind, rubbing his hands together, looking for an opportunity.
Yeah, another thing, we haven't really had to touch on it, but penalties, they're going to at least, ZZ9 right now, he's ahead of Alex Bitto on penalties, so he's going to be a bit more relaxed. And Fraser as well, neither Mercedes at the moment have those penalties, so Fraser, he needs to reel himself into Freeware, but he doesn't need to pass him on track to get that extra point. He needs to get within 3 seconds, so it's still a tall order. They're both on fresh softs, but he has that advantage.
Well, I have to say, Jake has come across in the chat and made a very good point here. He asked how the penalties were. Alex Bitto has 3 seconds, a major improvement considering the 12 seconds that he finished yesterday's race with in Tier 1. But he has ZZ9 without penalties right behind him within a second, and this is a problem for him. Chenjay's also there, but Chenjay has his own penalties to contend with, as do the drivers behind him of Domi and Neon.
I don't really know what Alex Bitto can do here to clear ZZ9. They're on identical tyres. They're in the late stage of this race. Pushing would be a difficult challenge for Alex to pull that gap out because of the tyre wear that they've both got. Wisp and Remco in the final sector are exchanging. Remco up into 11th now. It's unlikely that either of these guys pick up any points here this evening, but not impossible if Freeware had an issue.
Seb has just taken, if I'm not mistaken, his first penalty of the session. 3 seconds now for that Renault. And Fraser, BTFU, ZZ9, and Ben the Bear are the only drivers without penalties on the grid at the moment. Freeware has just stepped in it and taken an additional 3 seconds. And Remco Van Putten had overtaken Wisp. It appears Wisp still fighting back a little bit through Sector 1. Remco still holding on to that lead position, though, over the Haas. So we'll see if that develops any further. But ZZ9 within half a second of Bido coming through Sector 3. And we're starting to get to a point where I think these drivers want to get themselves into their ideal race positions, especially in ZZ9's case. He doesn't want to be fighting off a car ahead of him because this could be, of course, crucial for him to take a penalty should he come into a battle with Alex.
Yeah, and this battle, Shenji, I don't know what Shenji's been doing over the last few laps as he has a bit of a slide out of the last corner. He's caught these guys pretty quickly. He's left Domi in his dust. Him and Domi have been battling all race, and now Shenji's just decided, you know what? I want to join the fight for the podium, and he and Alex are on the same grounds in terms of penalties, so if Alex was to pick up another, like Jake said in the chat, he had 12 seconds yesterday. It's not unlikely, shall we say, that we see him pick up another for 6. So Shenji isn't just putting pressure on ZZ9 here. He's putting pressure on Alex just by being present, because Alex, with this new penalty system update, Alex will see Shenji's penalties here. He will know that they're equal and that picking up another one will be catastrophic. So I'm just going to have a look, see what sort of warnings they're on.
BTFU has joined the party now as he has taken a penalty, and he's also been overtaken by his teammate of Freeware. Wisp is still tight to the rear of Remco, showing good pace, but now he's taken an additional 3-second time penalty, so he's on equal footing with Remco. Neon right now has been able to close a significant chunk of time to Domi ahead. We still have some good running coming to you in this race. Well, if you look at him, 5.4, it's coming down. We've got about 6 laps remaining in this race. Might be able to do it. Get himself into DRS.
Well, I just had a look at the warnings. So not the penalties, but the warnings. It's a 3 strikes and then you get a penalty. So both Alex and Shenji are on 2 warnings. So if either one of them steps across that track limits just one more time, they'll pick up another 3 seconds. So it's pretty tight between them.
I can guarantee you that Alex Bido is checking his race director or looking at his timing tower to look for a black and white rectangle next to ZZ9's name right now. I think that's all he wants, is ZZ9 to take a penalty here, and it's not going to happen until the fighting begins. And the problem for Alex is ZZ9 does not need to fight him. He just needs to stay within that range.
Yeah, Shenji is both a blessing and a curse for Alex, because if Shenji starts to put pressure on ZZ9 in terms of just coming for track position, even then ZZ9 could just sort of relax a little bit, because ZZ9, again, warnings, he only has 1, whereas the other 2 cars have 2 penalties apiece. So while Shenji, he definitely wants to be coming in to put pressure on here, he can't really afford to, because another warning would put him out of this podium fight. Whereas ZZ9 is well and truly in it, and Alex, at the moment, he just needs to stay composed, and he's a super experienced racer. We've seen him race time and time again, and right now, he's sitting in second. He knows ZZ9 is going to beat him on penalties, but doing anything extravagant could cost him the place to Shenji. So I think Alex here just needs to acknowledge that his fight is for third and not for second, and that he needs to keep himself ahead of Shenji, not only on track, but also in terms of penalties as well.
We have one Red Bull on circuit that's been under pressure from Wisp since he took the position from the Haas, and that's Remco Van Putten. And you have Ben over leading things almost 9 seconds clear of Alex and P2, and it's just crazy to see. Crazy to see that Ben, he's had a very up and down season, but even after, I think it's been nearly 8 months, 6-7 months since you and I commentated around here the first time, he's still got that dominating pace around this American circuit.
Yeah, Ben he's never been you know, slower than any track, but his pace around the USA is just something else. He almost closed down into that 28-second mark in qualifying, and around here he's almost got a 10-second lead. Plus, he does it all with no penalties. He's really just nailed this track.
Alex Bido, what he needs to do here, ZZ9 knows that he's in a good position. He's got Shenjay stuck behind him in a DRS train. He's got Alex Bido ahead of him with penalties, and he doesn't need to strike. All he needs to do is keep Shenjay at bay. So what Alex Bido needs to do is he needs to figure out a way to bring Shenjay into this fight. He needs to get Shenjay involved, because Shenjay doesn't give a damn about ZZ9. He wants to get as far up as he can, and he knows he has penalties. So what he needs to do is he needs to get ahead of that Mercedes, but he can't right now because Alex is keeping ZZ9 within DRS.
Yeah, this is a big game of chess for these three, and ZZ9 is just... He's the queen in this situation. He can move in any which direction he likes, and he's going to face no repercussions for it, whereas Alex Bido and Shenjay, they've got to be thinking about what they're doing a little bit more carefully. They've got 2 warnings, they've both got the penalty, and they're fighting around ZZ9, they're not fighting ZZ9 himself. And there goes Fraser. Fraser picks up his first penalty, so that's going to impact him. He might have been able to get one of the Alpha Tauris ahead of him, but I don't think that's going to be the case anymore.
This is a very, very strategic battle. As you said, it's a game of chess. That's probably the best way you could explain it. It is a game of chess, and right now ZZ9 is going to potentially inherit a P2 finish here. We're just about to cross through. Well, actually, we've just crossed through into the 26th lap, and now Shenjay, well, he's just taken another 3 seconds.
Well, that's going to hurt him. There's not a lot he could do to come back now. And the thing is now, Shenjay, he's got to stop worrying about the cars in front almost instantly, and he's got to look behind. He and Domi were fighting before, and now Domi, if Domi can close within another 2 seconds, get in that 3-second window, would beat him. He's only got 3 seconds himself, so Shenjay's going to be a little bit worried, and the Williams behind him might go on a hard charge, and I think Remco's just had an issue. He slid into the wall, and Remco's race going from bad to worse here. He's out of the points, but he is soldiering on. He's lost both end plates.
Not much else to look at the moment other than just this train now. It was a very, very exciting start to the race. We had a ton of overtaking, and then they brought themselves within this. Look at the timing tower. You can tell that it was a strategy-based race when you look at the tires. The medium runners leading things, the soft runners behind, and Neon has now caught up with Domi. He's within the DRS range of this Williams, and this is a big problem for him considering the fact that Neon and him are on equal footing in the sense of penalties. But Neon has very, very good tires at the moment.
Yeah, and Neon as well, he is also only on 3 seconds. So if he could get past Domi here, could he close the gap to... It's so late in this race, but could he close the gap to Shenjay, who's still running away from these drivers?
Domi with the squeeze. Domi with the squeeze. Neon says, no thank you. I still want this position, sir. And he takes it. Domi has to run wide on exit. Neon holds it well. He's into 5th position now, and he will hold on to that 5th, barring any penalty action for this penultimate lap or the final lap. Tires now are going to come into the equation for all of these racers ahead of Neon. 6.3 seconds. The gap, however, is what he needs to find. If I am not mistaken, he needs to get himself within 3 seconds of Shenjay. And that's a tall order in order to secure a P4. But he will hold that P5 for the time being, if I'm not mistaken. But ZZ9 now.
Well, Domi's just come back past.
Oh, I didn't see Domi looking to try and make things real interesting now. Okay, so we have ourselves a fight, do we? Domi and Neon through Sector 3, your favorite, Unicorn. Take us through it.
I think what Domi's trying to do here is he looks around the outside, gonna try and get a cutback, but he's not gonna do it. He wants to put Neon under as much pressure as possible because Domi knows he can't climb right now, but what he can do is if he puts Neon under enough pressure, if Neon picks up another penalty, it makes this battle come back to just be on a track, but Neon's tyres are just so much younger. They're about 7 laps younger. I think they are 7 laps younger than Domi, so there's not a lot Domi could try and do, but if he could make it happen, he'd love it. And I'm sure Shenjie, I mean, that battle there has pretty much cost Neon, I think. I don't think he's ever going to be able to close this gap. Fraser picks up another penalty. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it for now. And the battle up front for the podium positions is still raging on as well there. Still nicely close to one another, but no one again making that move. And I think all the drivers here have pretty much accepted their fate. There's not a lot that they can do to shimmy their way past. Are we going to see ZZ9 maybe go for the move? I think Alex Benno's completely depleted his battery, and that's giving ZZ9 a little bit of a chance to catch up. We know that he would probably rather be Alex on track rather than just on penalties, but it is a failed effort, I think. And well, there he is, Ben the Bear, coming through into the final turn now.
Yeah, he's happy with that one, guaranteed. That's sweet revenge for him, if I'm not mistaken, Unicorn. Sweet revenge for him. Alex Biddo now crossing second here. ZZ9 at the line is going to take him. Shenjie fourth. Neon now coming around in the final turn. He will hold on to fifth position. Domi behind him, sixth. Seb in the Renault. P7 here for him. Freeware, BTFU, the two AlphaTauris are going to finish 8, 9. Razor in the Mercedes. He will take that final points position. Wisp now. What a race. What a race. No safety cars. No VSCs. Fairly clean exchanges for the most part. Not entirely sure what happened to the few drivers that did DNF in this one. You hate to see it, but I'd say it was overall a solid race, start to finish there, Unicorn. And it's going to
really
be
good.
Zamis there 11th ahead of Wisp. Mammal, Remco Van Putten will be the last two drivers to cross the line here. After a long week of racing, that will conclude the United States Grand Prix edition of the Misfits Racing League for Season 3. Tomorrow, we have a huge race. It is one of my favorite circuits. It is the Bahrain Grand Prix this weekend in Formula One, and that's a circuit that we finally have the ability to kind of follow along with for our endurance series, isn't it, Unicorn? Bahrain tomorrow. 100%.
It feels like we haven't been to Bahrain in ages. You know, it's right at the start of the calendar, but now we're going back there for the endurance season. They are always a ton of fun, and like you say, Bahrain, it's a super fun track to watch, and it's a tricky second to get right. And I think the endurance aspect of the 100%, I think that's going to play with drivers tomorrow. There's a few tricky corners to get right lap after lap there, and you double the distance. I think a few drivers are going to struggle with that, so I think it's going to be a very, very entertaining race indeed.
Yeah, for sure. I am more than looking forward to that. Yeah, Bahrain 100% distance league race tomorrow. That's at 11 p.m. GMT, 5 p.m. CST for those in North America. That's Central Standard, and then of course GMT for those over in Europe. 11 p.m. GMT, 5 p.m. CST. That's the endurance series Bahrain round. But of course, Ben the Bear in the Red Bull with the win. ZZ9 takes second, and Biddo takes third. And this is not going to be big for Biddo in the championship hopes. He was 8 points off of ZZ9. Now he's going to be a little bit further back. Shenjie in fourth, Neon fifth there. Fifth for Neon. And he had a two-stopper and still managed to come in fifth. So I have to say congratulations to him at stellar debut drive from Neon. Now, that is going to conclude, as we said, the United States Grand Prix week of racing here for the MRL. We are going to be rating a member of the F1 stream community in just a moment's time, so we hope you will join us for that, because it's always a nice time to go and spread the love of F1 in Twitch and the community. So thank you for hanging with us when we do that. Hit that follow button if you enjoyed. Bahrain tomorrow. Of course, next week we have 5 fantastic rounds coming to you here on the channel around the Mexico City circuit. If I'm not mistaken, it's in Mexico City. That is the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez, if I am not mistaken. The Mexican GP next week, 5 races for that. Super thrilled and excited. But with all that being said, that is going to wrap up racing action here today for us. Join us for the outro, and we will raid. I think we're going to go and hit Mr. Dirk Chocolate this evening. So if you don't know Dirk Chocolate, he is a very, very funny and entertaining streamer who also has a little bit of speed behind the wheel. So we're going to head on over there and see him. And yeah, everybody, have a fantastic, fantastic evening. See you tomorrow for the Endurance Series.